There's a woman, she was extremely poor. More than likely, she was an elderly widow, down to all that she had left, which was just 2 coins. But she had great faith, and she has become a living sermon. And she remains an icon of faith, putting her whole trust in God. I mean, she did not hold anything, nothing back. Now, the woman is known only by her marital status, same as in the Old Testament, the widow of Zarephath. Sort of like Clint Eastwood, where he was the man with no name. Well, this is the woman with no name. She is the widow. We have to note that it's the story of the widow's coins. She had 2 small coins, each one worth maybe 1/400th of a shekel, which for us would be like 1/8 of a penny each. And so that was really too small to even hold some kind of a legible imprint there of the Roman Empire. Jesus had been teaching in the temple courts, and now he calls his disciples together as he paused while on his way out. And he paused against the treasury to watch as the offerings were being made. Each person would walk up to one of the 13 trumpet-shaped receptacles, actually, which were lined against the wall there in the court of the women. And these people, they would toss their offerings inside. And the person was expected to say aloud, well, the amount and the purpose of the gift, so that they could be heard by the priests that were doing the collecting. I remember back in the 7th grade there at Annunciation, Sister Mary, our teacher, was explaining to us during the catechism class that this was pretty much as it is in our day, but that back then the rich would pour the coins into the receptacles so that the coins made a loud sound or noise as they poured in their money. Well, in such a group, who's going to notice a widow tossing out 2 itty-bitty coins of the realm into the offering? Yet Jesus, in a move that is really just so much like him, he notices this and he calls attention to this great act of faith. He calls his disciples together and he tells them, truly I tell you, this poor widow has put in more than all those who are contributing to the treasury. For all of them have contributed out of their abundance, but she, out of her poverty, has put in everything that she had to live on. Now, Jesus knows that these are not just any 2 coins, but the last 2 coins that the woman has. So the text reads, all she had to live on. But the Greek makes it darker, starker. It says that she put in her bios. In bios, that's where we get the word biology, the study of life. Bio, life. So Jesus tells us that the widow put in her life into the temple treasury that day. Now, this isn't about tithing. Not at all. She did not give 1/10 of her income. I mean, she probably didn't even have any kind of an income at all. These were her last 2 coins. And rather than to do what we would probably do, keep one back, she threw both of them into the treasury's coffer. So the widow gave 100% of her money, everything. So she's down to 2 practically worthless little coins, yet she trusted all to God. Now, if this were a gamble, if she were gambled, then the widow would be laying her money down on God. But this isn't a gamble. The widow isn't gamble. She doesn't bet her money. She trusts her life to God. And there's nothing written in here, in fact, there isn't anything written in the scriptures about health, wealth, and prosperity if you put your money and all of it down on God. And that you know darn well that that is exactly what is being preached. Put this in, give your money, and you're going to have a beautiful home down in the bayous or at Hilton Head or at Malibu. Now, it would be nice if we had a little bit more detail. Did Jesus walk up to her? Did he put his arm around her? Did he talk to her? Did he say anything about how she will prosper? No, nothing more is said about her. All she does is blend back into the crowd, never to be seen again. How about, did Jesus ask Judas Iscariot, who was the keeper, of the money of the disciples, to give something to this woman so that she wouldn't go hungry maybe that evening? Did she come to be a Christ follower? Did she join with the other woman who journeyed with Jesus from Galilee to the cross and beyond? We have absolutely no idea, zilch, nothing. We do not know. And you know what? The gospel never answers these type of questions. The nameless widow who gave 2 small coins fades in the background. We may want to know her name. Of course we would. You know, we could name churches after her, or schools, or hospitals. You know, do it all in her honor. Maybe we want to give her a place of honor in Jesus' stories, alongside with his disciples, whose names we do know. Though, I'll be careful here, their trust in God wasn't always so exemplary. And I think a lot of us, some anyway, our trust in God is not that exemplary either. But perhaps namelessness is appropriate for this living parable. And maybe it's best that we don't find out how her story ends. The nameless woman, whose ultimate fate we never know, is perhaps an even better icon of trust. She went to the temple that day not knowing if she would ever have 2 little coins to call her own again, or could have been her path to a life of begging, or even a station on the road to starvation. These days, we would probably see her sitting at a street corner here in Savannah in the county, begging for food, begging for something. Facing an uncertain future, the widow reached out to God. She trusted that if she gave everything that she had to God, even the little that she gave would be honored. And whether she was repaid handsomely by Jesus himself, or God cared for her in some way or another, somewhat like the widow of Zarephath, we too have to trust. We trust that the widow's story turned out all right. We trust that whether she lived or she died, she was God's. Jesus shows that what we withhold may matter more than what we offer. The widow was a woman of great faith. She held nothing back. She knew what Jesus' disciples were just learning. We are to give. Everything that we have is God's already. The money in your wallet, in your purse, the change in your pocket, the taxes that you supposedly pay, that the government supposedly receives, that's all God's. We can offer our very selves to the kingdom of God, holding nothing back. She was a woman, she was poor, she was a widow, down to her last 2 coins. She was a child of God who placed her whole life back into her loving Creator's hands. Can you do that? Will you do